said voting rights is not a leftist agenda. It's all of us agenda. It's an American agenda. It's called democracy.
Casper the Friendly Ghost.
Natasha Romanoff.
No! Former Mike Pence advisor. She worked for George Bush. But we love her. Olivia Troye is here.
Yay!
I just never thought I'd be saying, yay, Liz Cheney and whoever worked for Pence and George W. Bush, but yay. Olivia,
Sure.
well, first of all, your op-ed was great to your former boss, Mike Pence. I mean, it is, and you put it best, I believe, at the very end of the op-ed. You just said, do you love your country more than, basically your lust for power, right?
Yeah, and that's what it's really about, especially when it comes to the likes of Mike Pence and all of these other more traditional Republicans, I would say, whatever is left of that. I don't even know that I can use that term anymore because I feel like the Republican Party is essentially dead for what we knew it, right? But That's it. It's just put your self-ambition aside for 1 second and look at the greater picture and look what's happening here and just care. Yeah. Just care about your country more than anything else right now.
Well, yes, and this is you quoting Liz Cheney. You said this moment requires us, as Liz Cheney has said, to love our country even more. And you, Mike Pence, need to decide what you love more, the country or your last chance at political power. And as you've tried to tell him, as someone that seems to have served him loyally, you said on Twitter, you said Trumpian Republicans are never going to like you, which leaves telling the truth about the election in January 6th as the only option. And this was your note to your former boss. I mean, he seems deluded in that way, that he is not going to be president, that the Trumpers all hate him as a traitor. So, talk to me about what the genesis of writing this piece and if you think he read it and what his reaction would be.
Yeah, look, I thought a lot about it. I have been watching him sort of, I guess, for lack of a better term, waffle on what to do with the January 6th committee, ongoing investigation. And I think that really matters so much, regardless of whether people keep calling it a partisan hit job or not. Look, it's not. I mean, Liz Cheney, Adam Kinzinger, they're conservatives. They are working very hard to really do what's right for our democracy here. And so I think with Mike Pence, I think about all the people that I worked with in that circle and what they must be saying in his ear. And I think about those people also being self-interested and looking out for their own careers in the future. And I think this is a time where you have to put that aside if you really care about the future. Worry about that later. And so that's why I just wrote this thing, because I hope that he read it and that he takes it to heart.
You talked about his op-ed that veers into breathtaking whataboutism, as you say. You said it seems Pence has decided the gallows set outside the Capitol and Trump supporters shouting "Hang Mike Pence" are basically equivalent to a piece of voting rights legislation. You said, how does any rational human being whose life and the lives of his family were threatened see debates about voting rights or Senate rules as even remotely similar to the motivations of his would-be attackers? So, I mean, it really is sort of breathtaking that he was the target. And as you tweeted, you said Trump's GOP rigged the system to block votes and the will of the people, undermine our institutions and democracy, require Republican presidential candidates to not participate in debates with no policy platform other than lies and grievance. This is pathetic, but not surprising. And I guess, based on his op-ed, that's what he's thrown in with.
I think so. And look, the bullying, the intimidation that's happening amongst all of these people is real. And you're seeing them suffer the consequences, right? And I heard Biden's remarks yesterday. I heard you play them right now. He's exactly right. There's all these people behind the scenes who know that what's happening is horrible. They know that we're going down a further dark path, but none of them are willing to stick their necks out there, because when you do, even when you vote for common sense things, like, Congressman Upton, I believe, was the one that got the threats over the phone call just for voting for legislation that would serve his constituents well, that would help his community. And what does he get as a thanks? He gets intimidation, he gets threats, he gets bullying to him and his family. I mean, that is where we are right now. And I think that's fundamentally, that's what's leading all these people to retreat. But at some point, you've got to stand up together. You've got to stand up to the bully.
And do you think this Supreme Court ruling last night, which is huge, is going to affect Pence's calculations or Meadows or any of them? Because obviously, packed with Trump nominees, they blew up his ridiculous executive privilege claims. Do you think that will affect Pence at all?
I think that will definitely cause him to take a step back. I mean, look, this is so significant. I was so excited to see that, and so actually relieved, because this is a group of people, especially in the Trump family, that really operate on a system where they use the court system in their favor. They operate by trying to undermine the rule of law, and they think that they're above it. They think that they're invincible. And so that was an enormous win to kind of put sort of get the hammer down, right? And say, no, enough. Like, this isn't going anywhere. Stop.
You know, this is for the whole party, but you say in your piece, Olivia, Pence has two options. One, embrace the Trumpism that's now driving the Republican Party platform, including the insidious new focus on election integrity meant to further the big lie. Two, clear his conscience, start telling the truth, and tell Americans what really happened in 4 years under Trump. Tell them how he spent every day wondering whether our country would survive. A good place to start would be making it clear he'll cooperate with January 6th investigation should they decide to question him. Pence knows these details. He knows about the 6-point Eastman memo to stage a backhanded Pence-led coup using Republican members of Congress. He even made phone calls desperately trying to find a way to appease the madman in the Oval Office. As we're learning more and more, right, he obviously talked to the parliamentarian. He knew about the fake electors. I mean, Pence knew all of this. And I think you're absolutely right. He owes it to his country. I mean, he did the right thing on that one day, right?
He did. And, thank goodness he did, because I can't imagine what the aftermath, it would have been so much worse. But I think now, here we are, it's over a year later, we're still, after that election happened, this is still, I mean, the big lie is the Republican platform right now, right? There's no policy, there's no actual real initiatives to help America. The platform is the big lie. And anybody who doesn't support the big lie of the, fraudulent, stolen election, in their words, which we know is just nowhere near factually correct, that is how they're running. They're running these candidates, and if you don't agree with that sentiment, you get kicked out, or they pull you off the primary ticket. So I think, I think this is a moment where I think someone like Mike Pence could change that.